Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Monday, March 30th, 2015, around 5:07 in the afternoon, Billerica, Massachusetts. Overcast skies, sun's trying to break out. Highs in the mid-40s right now. We had some rain or snow showers, but nothing significant. Some news to report. Pro Basketball Hall of Famer Chris Mullin has agreed to become the new head coach of the St. John's Redmen men's basketball team, and the Boston Celtics will be playing their first national televised game besides on NBA TV this Wednesday night when they face off against the Detroit Pistons on ESPN. That's about it on the news. My second video blog subject of the day is about the classic game show Jeopardy, the Art Fleming years from 1964 through 1979 on NBC and syndication. Jeopardy's one of the most famous game shows of all time. Currently, it's in its 31st year in syndication, hosted by Alex Trebek. But the beginnings of Jeopardy happened back in the early 1960s when Merv Griffin, a famous talk show host and a game show host, was playing a game with his then wife while on a trip. It was a game show. It was a game they were playing at. They had all the answers and they were coming up with the questions and stuff like that. And he said this will be a good idea for a game show, he said, because networks were not doing quiz shows at all because of the game show scandals that happened in the late 1950s and stuff. But Merv Griffin wanted to bring back the quiz show thing, and he was coming up with this idea with NBC. He had to get a title for it, and he says originally the working title for Jeopardy was "What's the Question?" and NBC really didn't like that title, so Merv Griffin came up with Jeopardy. Originally, Jeopardy was actually going to be formatted as a comedy game show with comedians on it and a comedian host, but NBC says a comedy game show would probably be canceled within 3 months, and Jeopardy was turned into a straightforward, serious quiz show. And the host of Jeopardy was an actor by the name of Art Fleming, who was a New York actor. He was actually a newsman on WNBC in New York, the flagship NBC station, and he was in a lot of commercials. So he was pegged to be Jeopardy's host. And the announcer for Jeopardy was Don Pardo, who was the NBC voice announcer for many years on game shows and regular shows for NBC, and Jeopardy made its debut on March 30th, 1964 at 11:30 in the morning on NBC, and it had 3 contestants playing one another in a questions and answers format with 6 categories, and all the categories range from $10 to $50 in the first round, and hidden in any of these questions during the first round is a daily double. If a contestant got a daily double, they could go up, they could wager what they little or all of it, which they would call a true daily double. If they got the question right, they got the dollar amounts, but if they got the question wrong, the dollar amounts get deducted. Once the end of the first round of Jeopardy, they would reveal all the questions, or if they had a buzzer, that means what questions were not revealed stayed unrevealed, and the questions thing came out of a curtain. And the second round was called Double Jeopardy, and the dollar amounts doubled from $20 to $100. And hidden in these questions were 2 daily doubles. Sometimes they would have an audio daily double in these questions. They would hear something that was audio, maybe a music thing and stuff like that. And like they would always ring buzzers in the light. If they got the question right, they got the added on. They got the question wrong, it got deducted. And then when another bell rang to end the second round. That means it was over. The gameplay, and it was the final round called Final Jeopardy, and if the contestants with positive scores would continue. If they had a negative score or 0, they would not participate in Final Jeopardy. And Final Jeopardy, they had like one final bonus question, and it would show the answer, and it would have 30 seconds to come down with the question, and they would do 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 do, and then Art Fleming would reveal the question, and then he would flip the contestants' questions over if it was right or wrong, and if it was right, they put down the wager amount they put on that question, and if they got it wrong, it was deducted. Sometimes the contestants would put 0, meaning even if they got the question wrong, they would get 0, and it would be added to their scores, and the winner, the contestant who won the most money, would return to the next show, while the other two would keep their money no matter how much they won. And contestants stayed on Jeopardy until they lost, or if they reached a limit of what they could win, or how many, maybe 10 days on Jeopardy and stuff. And Jeopardy became real popular with the college students and a lot of people watching televisions at that time. Jeopardy became one of the most popular game shows of its day, produced by Merv Griffin and stuff. By the winter of 1966, Jeopardy was moved to noon times. Some NBC affiliates didn't carry Jeopardy at that time because they showed local news. The NBC affiliate in Boston, WBZ at the time, carried a new news, so Jeopardy was seen on WSBK TV 38 for many years, and Jeopardy became real popular. They had like college tournaments and a tournament of champions and other tournaments and stuff like that. From time to time, they would have celebrities on there playing a week of shows for like winning money for their charity. One week they had a whole week of game show hosts from NBC game shows. Bill Cullen, Peter Marshall, and Art James participated in charity. In 1972, Jeopardy reached its 2000th episode, and as a special guest, they had the 2,000-year-old man who was played by actor, comedian, director Mel Brooks. Jeopardy continued to be popular into 1973. That's when the then head of NBC daytime programming, Lynn Bowden, said Jeopardy was kind of an aging show, that, noontime, it needed to be moved to another time slot because Lynn Bowden had something waiting in its wings, Jackpot, with Jeff Edwards. So NBC moved Jeopardy from noontime to 10:30 in the morning in early 1974, facing off against the $10,000 Pyramid on CBS, and it beat the $10,000 Pyramid on CBS. Jeopardy did. It still had staying power, but CBS canceled the $10,000 Pyramid, and then they moved their hit game show Gambit to 10:30 in the morning, and that eroded Jeopardy's ratings and stuff. And in the summer of 1974, NBC moved Jeopardy to 1:30 in the afternoon, and the ratings went down like crazy. And by the fall of 1974, NBC sent a cancellation notice to Jeopardy, even though Merv Griffin had 1 year left on Jeopardy's contract to air on NBC. For compensation, Merv Griffin got to develop another game show to fulfill Jeopardy's contract. That game show became Wheel of Fortune. And in the fall of 1974, Jeopardy was shown once a week in syndication as a nighttime version of Jeopardy and stuff like that. And they jazzed this Jeopardy version up. They put bigger lights, bigger stage, and bigger sound because it was filmed at NBC Rockefeller Studios in New York, and they had Art Fleming dress up in a very big tuxedo and checkered jackets and stuff. And after Final Jeopardy, the winning contestant for Final Jeopardy would have a board, and they could select anything on the board from prizes to cars. There were 2 numbers they could select that had $25,000, and this Jeopardy only lasted a year before it got canceled in syndication. The last Jeopardy on NBC was on January 3rd, 1975, and Jeopardy faded away from the television scene by the summer of 1975, but there was talk of it being revived 2 years later, and CBS actually got a pilot for Jeopardy, but they passed on it, and Jeopardy came back on the air in October 3rd, 1978, and moved production from New York to NBC Studios in Burbank, California. Art Fleming remained host of Jeopardy. They had a new announcer, John Harlan, and this Jeopardy was a little bit different than the original Jeopardy. The dollar value amount for the questions for the 6 categories ranged from $25 all the way to $125 in the first round, and they still had 3 contestants play on it. But when they ended the first round of Jeopardy, the contestant with the lowest dollar value amount would be eliminated. If there was a tie, they would have a tiebreaker question, and then they would play double Jeopardy, and the dollar values for the questions were, they still had 6 categories and stuff, and the daily doubles and stuff, but the dollar value amount went from $50 to $200 and stuff like that. And at the end of the second round, the contestant who had the lowest amount of money was eliminated, and the contestant with the most amount of money would win the game and go on to a bonus round called Super Jeopardy, which they would answer questions for like up to $5,000 for the first try, $7,500 for the second try, $10,000 for the third try, $12,500 for the fourth try, and $15,000 for the fifth try. If a contestant won all five days of Super Jeopardy bonus round, they could pocket a maximum of $50,000. And the Super Jeopardy round was played like this. They would have to answer questions, and if they got the question, they would have to get a row of 5 questions right, up and down, diagonally, or horizontally, or whatever. But there was a catch. If they missed 3 questions wrong, they would be out of the bonus round, but they would accumulate money to, like, even if they, and when they accumulated money, and even if they lost the bonus round for the $5,000, it would keep the money and stuff like that. And this Jeopardy only lasted about less than a half year because it bounced around from different time slots and stuff like that. And in the spring of 1979, Jeopardy was last shown on NBC, and it was the last time Art Fleming hosted Jeopardy on NBC, and it was kind of a sad day because Jeopardy was an icon for NBC game shows in the 60s and 70s. And Jeopardy was kind of put out to pasture for a few years, but in 1984, it came back in syndication. I'll tell you that story later on in the week about the current Jeopardy with Alex Trebek. Most of the original Jeopardy shows have been destroyed and erased because NBC did not save any of their daytime or late night talk shows during this time period. Maybe there's a few scattered episodes of Jeopardy with Art Fleming around. I know the first episode still exists, and there's a few scattered episodes, including the one with the 2000 episode and the Final Jeopardy in 1975, and they're scattered. Jeopardy from 1978 through 1979. There's a rumor that the whole series is intact and GSN has it in their vaults, but it's never been seen the light of day. Only maybe 2 episodes of Jeopardy without Fleming appeared on GSN in the past for special Game of the Week shows when GSN used to do it and stuff. This Jeopardy, I saw it on YouTube a couple of times. It was, a pretty good Jeopardy. It's not the Jeopardy everybody knows and loves today with Alex Trebek, but Art Fleming was a pretty good game show host. Considering when he was an actor, he was pretty good. He was very knowledgeable, Art Fleming and stuff. And Art Fleming, after Jeopardy went into radio and stuff, he actually hosted a talk show out of St. Louis, KMOX. He also hosted When Radio Was. He was actually asked to come back to host Jeopardy in 1984, but he declined. He's saying that the new version of Jeopardy became too Hollywood for him. Art Fleming passed away in April of 1995 at the age of 70. And that's about it on Art Fleming's version of Jeopardy from NBC and syndication. Hope you enjoyed this. Be back tonight with the last video blog of the person I profile, Allen Iverson of the Philadelphia 76ers fame, future Basketball Hall of Famer. Don't forget Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm open for a Skype chat. If you want to Skype me, add Rich Saraso. And if you want to talk about anything, I'll talk about anything on Skype chat. I love doing these Skype. I love to chat with any of you for Facebook. And also, follow me on Twitter, Chewy7.com. On Twitter. See you later. Bye now.